2:30 Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. We saw the end of Week 6 last night. Commanders, they go down. What's this NFC East look like? We know it's been 20 years since someone went back-to-back. Are we starting to get the feeling that the Eagles might continue that streak? There's only one man that can answer that question right now. He's Jeff Kerr. CBS Sports covers the NFL, covers the Eagles, and he joins us right now, as he does on Tuesdays, to take a look at what's going on with the Birds as they get ready for Skull. The Vikings could be Carson Wentz in the mix. We'll see what they end up going with. There's Jeff Kerr from CBS Sports. He's back on the Sports Bash. His Phillies duties somewhat done. I guess it's going to be a very interesting offseason there. Of course, he covers the Phillies for CBS 3 as well. We'll start with that real quick. Each day this week, we're doing a stay or go. Where are you on the Kyle Schwarber stay or go?
I think you have to keep him, but if he's gone, I think you're okay with that because he does clog the lineup up. Like, people don't want to admit that they have a 32-year-old first baseman who's going to be Bryce is 32, right?
I believe so.
Am I wrong on his age? I can't remember. His birthday's in October. So anyway, Bryce is that age. JT Realmuto is in his
Bryce Harper is 32. Yes, he will start next season. Actually, his birthday is on Thursday. He will be 33.
Yeah, because I remember he had 2 home runs on his birthday once. That's how I remember that. But JT Realmuto, again, I think you got to bring him back because I don't think there's a better option. But DH is, to me, it's replaceable, right? I think you could patch that. Now, if you bring Kyle Schwarber back, I'm more than okay with that, but I think you got to add another dumping bat to the lineup to go with him, to take the pressure off him, to take the pressure off Bryce Harper a little bit, and Trey Turner. I'm more than okay if they bring back Kyle Schwarber. I think you've still got 2 really good years out of him. I just don't want to see him give him a 5 or 6 year deal.
That's the thing, man. It's like, are you paying for past production? Like, he hit 56 homers this year. He hit 248 this year. Does he all of a sudden go from 248 to 230 with, instead of 56 homers, 48 homers? And then progressively, like, I think you got the best year that you've ever gotten out of him, and I don't know that he ever tops the year that you just got.
I agree. And by the way, is Kevin Long going to be back?
I think that's a lot tied to whether or not Schwarber's back, right?
You would think. I mean, but here's the thing. What do you sell to the fan base if you're not going to make coaching changes? And I heard that they're going to. If it is Kevin Long, then
I think if you get rid of Kevin Long, you're getting rid of Schwarber.
I really agree with that. And look, I don't know who would be the DH. Maybe that's where you bring in the Pete Alonso type player. I don't know.
I was going to say, if you swap those two, you just don't re-sign Schwarber, you sign Alonso. But Alonso's looking for 7 years. He's 31, so he'll be 38 at the end of that deal. Like, I'm just skeptical of getting back in these deals. Like, when you sign Harper, you're excited in the moment, and then now you're realizing, oh, my God, you still have 5 more years of that deal. Trey Turner's going to be here till
6 more years of that deal.
6 more. Trey Turner's going to be here till 2033. Like, you almost are nauseous thinking about it.
Right? And I still think the problem with the Phillies at the top of the lineup is, yes, they don't hit. I mean, that's the obvious one. But I think one of the reasons they're so neutralized is because Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper are lefties. I think you need a right-handed power bat somewhere in that lineup, and Nick Castellanos just did not give that for you.
Well, the way the Dodgers set their lineup, when they went Ohtani, Betts, Hernandez, instead of Freeman in the 3-hole, they did those 2 right-handers, and it really made the Phillies kind of have to clamp down because the lefty at the top of the lineup, then the 2 righties, they constantly kept coming up with that situation where you had Ohtani in the middle, but you had the 2 right-handers after. And I think, that had something to do with why they went back with Robertson the other night, where they put him back out there, is because the 8 and 9-hole hitters were both right-handed. Then you had Ohtani, and you figured Robertson, I can get out after 2 batters because if he started the inning before, he didn't have to face 3 hitters. So he only had to pitch to the 2. Then they got him out. Then they brought Strawman. But because those 2 righties are right after, that looms large in all the decisions. And the Phillies are opposite. And having lefties against lefties is a lot different than having righties face righties.
And I think people forget that, Mike. And yeah, that's the thing. Lefties again. That's why I was so worried. Like, if they got to a game 5, I'm like, okay, when's Blake Snell coming into this game to shut this team down? Because I think that was going to be a huge possibility. And you saw what Blake Snell did last night.
He's been awesome.
Oh, yeah. Look, I think people got to take a chill pill for a second. I get we're all upset. I get we're all in the moment. Who's really beating this team? The Dodgers.
Well, with their pitching every single night, they are loaded on the mound. I mean, every night when they throw a starter out there, if that guy's on, he can give you. I mean, last night you could have made an argument that Snell could have finished the game.
He should have probably been able to finish. I can't believe he went to Trinan after Suzuki didn't win. Or Sasaki. Yeah.
He had no choice. I mean, Sasaki didn't have it last night.
No.
How many people were watching that game and when they went to Trinan, live bet the Brewers right in that moment?
I mean, Trinan did throw ball 4, right?
He hit the guy, but the guy got out of the way.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I was more entrenched in that game than I was both Monday Night Football games.
I said the same thing. I had the 4-block multi-view on, but the volume I had on was the baseball game.
Yeah. By the way, Brian Anderson does a great job with that.
Very good. All right, let's get your NFL takes for the week. Eagles lose. Jeff Kerr at CBS Sports. Do we blame Howie Roseman? This guy walks on water sometimes in every move he makes. But are you starting to look at Roseman as to why this team has struggled not only the last 2 weeks, struggled in general, even though they've won 4 out of 6?
Even Moses has made mistakes too, like Gil, and Howie Roseman has definitely made them. I think banking on Josh Uche and Aziz Ujiri to fix the pass rush is kind of bit him in the butt a bit.
And Zadarius Smith retiring yesterday abruptly there. Your take on that?
I didn't see that coming. Look, Zadarius told me a month ago, I got a lot of football left in me. I feel like I have a lot more to give. And he was excited to be a veteran leader in that locker room. He must have just woke up one day and said, you know what? I just don't want to do it anymore.
Right, like we were talking about this yesterday. They had the little mini bye here. Did he go home, play with his kids, and decide, you know what, this team's a mess. I'm getting out of here.
Yeah, I mean, he had to know something, right? He's been here for a month. It probably wasn't what he initially thought or what he signed up for. Or, I mean, I'm sure he's gonna be on a podcast someday. He's not really much of a talker though. So, I mean, but he could probably describe like his month in Philadelphia.
Jeff. The word we've heard a lot is predictable. So is this Lane Johnson's cry for help to get the message to who he wants it? Because he picks and chooses his words wisely. Is he trying to get the message to someone like, hey, guys, I'm letting you know now something needs to change?
Yeah, I agree. I think he's given them the warning sign now. And I heard Jeremy Fowler on John Kincaid's show this morning, and he said that a player told him it was a lot like 2023. And I'm like, I wonder if that player was Lane.
The fact that it felt like this season felt very 2023-ish is what the player told Fowler?
Yeah, essentially that. I'm paraphrasing here, but I'm just wondering if it was a veteran in that locker room who has a lot of respect, who can probably fix it. I mean, Lane Johnson just doesn't talk the talk, right?
Well, and it's like, how many people were here in 2023? You got to start narrowing it down a little bit, right?
Yeah, I agree. Like, so Jalen Hurts is here, A.J. Brown, Saquon wasn't here.
A lot of the offense.
Yeah. A lot of the linemen, Jordan, a lot of Lane Johnson. I mean, it could have been one of those guys that, heck, it could have been like even a rookie, like Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't like putting names in people's mouth, but you never know. It could be anybody.
Yeah, we're talking with Jeff Kerr. Were you at MetLife on Thursday night?
I was not. With Game 4 with the Phillies and all
that.
I
knew that there was at the same time. I wasn't sure because I was wondering, did it have that feel in there? We had Grayson on yesterday, and he was up there, and he said it felt ominous in there. Like it felt like, something has to change here. And you wonder, this little mini bye here, Jeff McClain asked the question yesterday, and Sirianni was very terse with the answer. Hey, you thinking about a play call change? And he said no. But McClain pointed out that this is when they made the play call change in 2021. It was during the mini bye, and that kind of changed things. And you wonder, Jeff, if this moment of them picking Petula is the downfall. If this decision's wrong, you got to get another coordinator. And what does that do to at some point you got to stop with this new coordinator. You got to find that guy. If this doesn't work out, this could be the downfall of everything.
look, Nick Sirianni, you can make the argument he's the greatest coach in Eagles history, but is he the greatest personnel coach? No, that belongs to Andy Reid. He was able to keep the same offense coordinator for multiple years, and even when they had a down year offensively, they still were able to have a top 10 offense. I still say Brian Johnson was kind of made out to be a scapegoat here because they did have a top 10 off. I know it wasn't what Shane Steichen was, and they basically pressured Nick, but there's just something wrong with the whole head coach GM dynamic. It just feels that way.
Well, and it's funny because Nick was in the same situation that Doug was in. He had won the Super Bowl, but then Doug wanted to keep his guys, and Doug fought for them, and it ended up losing his job. You wonder if this is going to be the same way that it goes for Nick if this season doesn't work out. You win a Super Bowl, and then I fought to get my guys because I won the Super Bowl. I should get to pick who I want to pick. And if that blows up in his face, it could be a Doug Peterson thing all over again. There's so many parallels to all the problems. And a lot of people say, oh, this is 2023 all over again. This could be 2018 all over again.
That's what I'm thinking. And, players did not like when I asked them in training camp, I'm like, how do you avoid 2018? And I asked Jordan Milan. Jordan Milan said, well, I was a rookie. I said, I understand that, but you were still part of it. You were there. You saw it. Lane gave me a great answer about it. He goes, look, you have to keep everything focused, and you have to make sure everything, the communication is there. And then Jordan Milan is telling you all year the communication is key. So clearly they're not communicating.
You wonder, is there some sort of I don't know. I watched the Saquon thing. I'm sure you did.
Oh, that was awesome, by the way.
It was really good. And I look at him and I think to myself, this is a guy who you almost can't envision him allowing this thing to get to this level. And yet here we are. You know what I mean? You brought Saquon in, and all of that last year was Howie telling him and Nick telling him, you were the difference. You were the difference in this year's team to last year's team. So why is this year's team from last year's team different? That's what's bewildering to me after watching that is they're all telling Saquon, you were the difference maker in why we were able to succeed as opposed to what happened in 2023. So they were saying in 2024, Barkley was the difference from the 2023 debacle.
I still get upset when people downplaying that meeting. Look, they're like, well, if two guys on the defense had that meeting, you wouldn't care. I'm like, no, I would care. I would care because that's just how it works. And by the way, when you got the Offensive Player of the Year, the Super Bowl MVP, and one of the top 5 receivers in football, and you have a come to Jesus meeting, it's kind of a big deal. So, look, I don't know what happened in that meeting. I was more Philly centric last week, but
you're talking about the AJ Brown meeting that he said never happened.
Yeah, I think AJ's downplaying that. Honestly, I didn't he tweet about it after the game?
Well, he suggested that it wasn't like we were sitting in an office and had a meeting. It was just like, hey, we happened to cross paths, had a conversation,
and someone saw it. I guess that's what happened.
Correct, and he's like, this wasn't like a planned meeting. It just kind of happened where we happened to be in the same place at the same time.
But I think that's a good thing, though, right? At least they're talking. I mean, he could have avoided them altogether. They all could have avoided each other.
I agree that it was a good thing, but it didn't appear that way on the field on Thursday night.
Maybe having 3 walkthroughs was the reason why they were so bad on Thursday night.
Well, listen, this is a big week. You know why? This Vikings defense is confusing. They do all sorts of crazy stuff. This is not the get-right defense, right? This is not the team to play where you're looking to get your offense back on track.
You're facing a team with the 2nd highest pressure rate in football, and you allow the 3rd highest pressure rate in football. So tell me how that's going to
go. Yesterday, McMullen said something on the show that I thought stood out, Jeff. When they had Miles Sanders, they were averaging 5 yards a carry. When they had DeAndre Swift.
Who had a good game last night, by the way.
And they were averaging that year 4 some a carry. And then obviously Saquon, what he did last year, they're averaging less than 3.5 yards a carry this year. Here's your problem.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think they greatly missed Mekhi Becton. It's not like Tyler Steen is bad, but he's not Mekhi Becton. I think Landon Dickerson's knee bothering him is part of the problem. I think a couple weeks off for him will do him some good. I don't think they have the depth on the offensive line that they had last year, and that's why they brought Fred Johnson back, and he kind of saved the game for them.
Yeah, you're right about that. The offensive line is the underrated and underspoken about reason why this team is struggling big time. But would you label that ahead of Petula, or do you think Petula is not a problem, or do you think Petula is a problem?
I think Batula's a problem. I don't think it's the problem that the offensive line is. Players still have to play. Okay, let's defend Kevin Patula for a second. Jalen Hurts makes that throw to Devontae Smith. Maybe we're not talking about this right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's a great play call, right? But you didn't execute it. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I just think the guys
they had a lot of meat left on the bone out there.
They did, and I think Patullo. I like Kevin Patullo. I think he deserves more of a fair shake. But I get the people that complain about him. You're 30th in the league in offense, and you haven't finished in the bottom 8 in offense since 1999. Someone's got to be the scapegoat.
All right, Jeff Kerr. Before we let you roll, Zadarius Smith retires. Do the Eagles need to now add another edge rusher?
Is water wet, Mike?
Well, I agree, because by adding Zadarius Smith, they told you they needed another pass rusher. That tells me they got to get active. And the trade deadline, obviously, there's a lot of reporting out there that the trade deadline this year is going to be very active.
Yeah, how many times did you and I complain about the pass rush even before they got Zadarius Smith? During the offseason, I said, hey, look, if one of these guys get hurt, you're going to have a problem. They've had multiple guys get hurt, and they're not productive.
All right, Jeff Kerr, CBS Sports. Of course, the Eagles getting ready to take on the Vikings. You can listen to that game right here on 97.3 ESPN. The coverage starts at noon. Merrill Reese and Mike Quick have all the play-by-play starting at 1 p.m. And, Jeff, we always appreciate seeing you, my man.
You know what, Mike? Thursday's going to be very interesting in the Phillies. That's what kind of shifted my focus on. I'm really curious to see what coaching changes they make.
I am right there with you. Those guys are going to talk at 11 o'clock, and we'll have it for you here on the Sports Bash. We'll talk to you next week, man.
Yep, sounds great. Thanks, Mike.
All right, there he is. Jeff Kerr, everybody from CBS Sports.